Today, my guest is my cousin, Sara. Her mom, Karen, and my mom, Jean, are sisters. And Sara and I, we jam about all things related to feelings and how we were raised as girls and how that's impacted us as mothers. All of us are on a journey of trying to figure our stuff out. So none of what we say is meant to be taken as advice. So with that, enjoy my chat with my cousin Sara. So here's what I thought you and I could chat about a bit. So I just recorded, it was actually 9 chapters of the book yesterday. And it's all the chapters that relate to my youth. And we're not necessarily going to talk about being young. I want to really reflect back on like how we were raised and then what that's done to us as moms. Mm-hmm. So here's kind of the main topic that I want to talk through with you is just, I use the phrase in the book that in our family, now I didn't specify like nuclear family or extended family to include you and your family, right? Yeah. I didn't explain or like put parameters around that, but I said in our family, we had an unspoken rule that you hide your crazy. So let's talk about that. Did you perceive it to be the same way? And also, I will just say, no mothers will be hurt in the recording of this episode. My goal is not to like say, we were raised so poorly and look at how good we're doing now, right? It's just talking about the dynamic of what families feel like and look like. So was that your experience?
Yes, and still is. We say it to each other all the time.
Who's we?
Mom and Sadie and I.
Really?
Yes. Sadie said it last week.
She said what?
She said, just gotta hide my crazy in front of her new man.
Somebody, I think it was Brene Brown, who I think she was the one. No, it was my friend Cass. My friend Cass from New Mexico. I don't remember. Somebody from the South, though, said, we want crazy to just come out and meet you on the front porch. We don't want any of this, like, shelter it in a back closet. So that's really funny. Yeah, he's got to meet her crazy.
That's how we were raised, though, and it's so firmly embedded in us that we still do it.
Right?
As much as you
I think
want to pretend like you're not that.
Look how open I am. Here's my crazy.
It's not us.
I know. So,
not me.
Not you. Right. So how did that play out for you? Like when you were growing up? Because so again, you can read this in the book. Mine is about my sensitivity and my flair for the dramatic and the theatrical. My dad, I know, right? My dad was just like, you are entirely too sensitive and ridiculous, and I can't deal with you.
Yeah.
Right? And my mom, being super opposite of me in a lot of fundamental ways, she too was just like, do we have to talk about this? Like, I had these enormous feelings that emotional literacy to me is a real thing. Mm-hmm. And I was not fluent. I was not taught. I did not know.
No.
Right?
No.
So that was my crazy.
Yeah.
And it was always like, oh, button that up, honey. That's, like, people don't, your slip is showing. Mm-hmm. What was yours? Or what do you feel like yours was?
I think growing up as a teenager, I think I pushed that a little bit just to be defiant.
Pushed what a little bit?
The hide your crazy thing. Like Mom.
Right.
She was all about people not seeing, anything other than what we present on a daily basis. She wants everything to be perfect, and I get it.
Right.
But I think as a teenager, I was probably, of the three, like, of you and Sadie and I was probably the more defiant one. And it wasn't even because I really wanted to be like that.
You were a rebel.
I was just defiant.
Without a cause.
I'm still that way. My sister tells me I have oppositional defiance disorder still.
Actually,
to this day.
At the Ed Sheeran concert, sitting right next to your sister,
she
said it. And it's funny, right?
Yeah.
But I think, so what is that in you? Like, just, is it non-conformity?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like things to be similarly the same, but I don't want to be exactly the same as everybody else.
Right.
I don't. I want to be enough to not, like, super stand out.
Right.
But
you're a conundrum to me in that respect. I'm just holding our mic.
Oh, that's fine.
Check mic. you're not a conundrum. I shouldn't say that, but I totally like.
I feel like that to myself though.
You're like what the hell? Why can't I just be away? But it's okay. It's who you are, and I actually like totally love it about you. And I feel like, as we've gotten older, and as you and I have really like, our paths lined back up.
Yeah.
Like our paths lined up until like, I don't know, what, 4th grade. I talk about like in 4th grade, I kept growing and you stopped. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that was almost like emotionally we split off at some point too. Mm-hmm. And in the book, how I refer to it, it would have been later, like junior high years, when it's just the bane of everybody's existence. Yes. Junior high sucks so bad. But I think you were really trying to spread your wings and like do your thing. And I was like, Sarah, you're going to get in trouble. And I was, you know.
Yeah. And I was mindful of that.
Yeah. I don't think, I just think we fell out of sync because we didn't.
I was more defiant and you didn't want to be.
Right. Well, and I think we didn't know ourselves, right? It's just, so we couldn't really support and love each other because we didn't know ourselves. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that's kind of what happened. But I feel like since we've gotten more into sync, you are a person, I love spending time with you. Like, absolutely love spending time with you. And I like that you're always pushing the boundaries. I think it's fun. I think it's super fun. And I don't know if it's because I'm not your mom, so I don't have to deal with it. But you know what I mean? Like, because really, you're not
legal. It's not
that's right. You're not hurting anything. I think that's, for me, the big thing is, like, there was some awareness that I developed along the way is, like, maybe being a good girl all the time actually isn't that much fun. And by good, still legal, right?
Yeah. I'm not breaking the law and shit.
Yeah, no, I get that's exactly it. But so, you and I have talked about this. Our moms are sisters. So, where do you think where did it come from? This, like, severe sense of don't let anybody see kind of thing. Like, where did it come from?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
No, I don't either.
I think it's just kind of heritage too, like, or like stoic German,
right? Right. I honestly I agree, because there was nothing. We've talked about this. Like, Grandma C felt their mother seemed okay. Here's what I'm gonna liken this to. It's being at peace with yourself.
Yeah.
I feel like in some ways my mom's still searching, and I am too.
I think we always will.
Right. It's not, I really
like do.
I am not. This again. No mothers were hurt in the recording of this episode. It's not like I'm like, Mom, I'm so sorry that you haven't figured out how to be you and embrace it, because look at me, all figured out over here. Like, I'm not figured out at all.
Well, sometimes I think it's my changing that thinks other people are changing, but really they're still the same, and it's how I'm viewing it.
Right. But I feel like Grandma Seafelt was somehow, like, comfortable with herself.
She
in kind of in a parent way, where I just don't feel like I see that same sense of comfort in my own mom. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe they're just not there yet.
Well, maybe they don't want to be there.
No, maybe.
Which is, and again, like, this isn't me saying this is how you should be.
No.
But I know for me, it's important for me to feel kind of okay being not okay.
Right.
Because I'm never 100% okay. No. And I want to get to that place where I can, like, accept that and not constantly feel like something is wrong with me because I'm not the same as how other people either respond or react or whatever. Right.
But then again, like, you look at other people and you admire certain qualities about them, and other qualities about them you're like, no, I don't want to be that. So I think that's kind of how we evolve and change over time, is just by who we're around and who we're watching.
I think it's a huge part of it, and I think so.
And maybe that's part of it too, is once we got out of the house and we meet different people from different walks of life, that changes you. Well,
and that, I would say, like, ultimately this talk show is called Small Town Big Talk. Let's say we're not small talking here. Like, you and I got right into it. And I really think that that's a huge part of what, like, for me was hard about moving back home.
Yeah. I would really struggle.
My mind and my heart and my life opened up in ways
And you didn't want to close back down.
I don't want to close back down.
Yeah.
And so running at that kind of mentality in a really small town, it's just not always easy. You feel like a weirdo. I feel sometimes, and I'm not that damn
Whereas
weird.
when you're in a big town, you blend a little more.
Right.
Because there's so many different...
Right. It can still feel lonely, I think, for everybody anywhere. Like, it's not necessarily, all it is it's the amount of distractions available to everybody else.
Right.
In a small town, there's not enough distraction.
Right.
So if you're going to be kind of weird in your own weird way, whatever that looks like, you know, then there's not enough people for them to be distracted by. And they're like, well, look at that weirdo. Like, everyone can see you. You're just more on display.
You know the people of Walmart?
Yeah.
I kind of wish I could be like that. But I can't. I can't let myself get that crazy.
I know.
I just kind of wish I could walk out into public with my slippers on and, you know, haven't washed my hair for a week and not care what other people think. But I can't. I have a limit.
I have a limit too.
Crazy.
But I think some of it for me is I don't feel good.
No.
When I'm like that.
No.
So I kind of feel like if I really can't stand my own filth here at home with my slippers and my dirty hair, why would I subject anybody else to it?
I know.
But there is a thing that's totally a thing. And I know that
they're just so free. That's what I think.
I'm not as free as I want to be. Freedom is it's a good way to frame this. Because I don't, again, it's not about saying like that my mom should be something.
No.
But freedom, it's what I'm chasing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, do you remember the movie, The Family Stone?
I love that movie.
It's one of my freaking favorite movies.
And it's Christmas season.
I know.
Time to watch Family
there you
Stone.
go, everybody. Go get Family Stone on. But do you know the part where Craig T. Nelson, the dad, says about Sarah Jessica Parker's character, she just doesn't seem to know her or trust herself very much. Mm-hmm. That, like, I think that is such a gracious way to look at, because Meredith is her name, right? Meredith is her character's name?
Maybe. You're better at that,
remembering
names than I am.
Freak about it. She's a bitch.
Yeah.
She's crazy. And she does that throat clearing thing that they all make fun of, which is really funny. She's, like, she is absolutely buttoned up and trying to project this perfection, mm-hmm. right? And instead of, Craig T. Nelson never says, like, she's awful and she's mean and she's horrible. He says she just doesn't seem to know or trust herself very much.
Not the truth.
And I just think that's beautiful. And that's like, hiding my crazy. And again, I don't think, and I said this in the book, it wasn't so much about putting on pretense for our family. I think it was more about just privacy. My mother's very private.
And I think that's really,
right.
You're right.
And clearly, I'm not
very good at that either.
Being open that way?
Private.
Or being private. Oh, yeah.
I usually tend to tell everybody things that I probably shouldn't.
Well, and is there a shouldn't or a should on that? Like,
I guess it depends on what it is, right?
Right.
I don't know.
I just feel like, for me, okay, and again, thinking about the women that are likely going to listen to you and I chatting about this, I think that, and I've talked about this before, that if you really want to find your people, like good people that will show up for you, you really don't have much of a choice. You've got to let them in. Mm-hmm. And if you let them in and they shut down a part of it, then that just means they're not your person, and you bump them out a bit again, right? Like you say, okay, I tried you on, didn't work out.
Yeah.
And that's why relationships shift over time.
Yep. And they were there for a season and they taught you a lesson.
Right. And then you can keep them in that place, still be nice and gracious and whatever, but you don't have to say like, hey, come over for wine every Thursday.
No.
You can let those things evolve.
Yeah.
Right? But the whole idea of like trying to find real, solid, meaningful friendships without giving of yourself, I just don't think I don't think that that's possible.
I know.
Do you?
No, you have to let people in if you want to keep them.
Well, and so my big phrase, like I have a catchphrase for this, is like you can't fake your way into a real relationship.
No, you can't.
Because if you you snag a friend, let's say, or a man.
Yeah.
Going back to, you and I haven't been trying to snag a man for quite some time. So
20 years. It's been friggin' 20 years.
Which, I know. And it's been 15 for me. Which, by the way, this is a fact check on my first episode with my dad. I made the comment that my husband and I got married in 2013. Not true. It was 2003.
Yes.
I watched it back yesterday and I went, I need a fact checker. Because it was just a slip.
Yeah.
It was a slip.
Yeah.
But yeah, 15 years for us. So, but the same deal, we were just talking about Sadie, like not wanting to and again, no sisters were hurt in the recording of this episode either, but wanting to like protect, shield some of the crazy from a prospective spouse, you can't fake your way into a real relationship. So if you only show people the prettied up, filtered version of yourself, at some point that whole facade's going to crack. They're going to see you for who you are, and they're not going to like you.
You can't last that way.
Right. And then you'll feel broken. And it's not that you're broken. It's just that you're you, and you weren't you the first time around or when it started. Right. So I don't know. I just think this whole idea of like authenticity, that's kind of what we're talking about. And also that feelings, for me, this was a huge realization to me that feelings actually have a purpose.
Yeah.
And that trying to suppress them or pretend that you don't have them,
that's really hard.
Probably isn't going to serve you a whole lot.
It's really hard because my feelings keep leaking out of my eyes the older I get. I don't like it at all. Even just like big changes in life, I'm like, damn it, when did that happen?
Right. Well, your kids are growing up. That's one of those things that happens it's like a slow, but you kind of, it hits you like a realization, which is weird. Like you're there for all of it, but you're not paying attention to it necessarily.
No, you're totally on cruise control.
Right. So let's talk about that. So I feel like I just, if the women listening to this cannot understand this, then I just don't understand people, I guess. Because like we're talking about something that I think is a universal.
It is certainly not just our family.
No, this is what being human is all about. Yeah. So how has that, like this hiding your crazy and kind of that mentality of just keeping things as buttoned up as possible, how has it affected you as a parent? And like, what kind of mom do you want to be? Not to say, because again, like this isn't about like, I don't ever want to be like my mom. Mm-mm. I would be thrilled to be like my mom in any number of ways,
yes. Right?
But how has this changed the way you approach parenthood?
Well, naturally, the way I parent is a lot like my mom. And there's a lot of times, like with Ellie more than Tyler, but like she wants to express herself and I want to hold her back. Like, people are going to look at you funny. Don't do that.
Right.
But I know that I have to let it go, and I have to let her be who she wants to be. That's hard. And it's a daily check that I have to make.
Totally agree. And so here's what this looks like in my world. So I've got a daughter too, but she's only 4. So I'm not hitting it yet. Mm-hmm. It's gonna come, and I know it. But Carter, our middle one, is pretty sensitive. Mm-hmm. And has a lot of expressiveness that he's trying to like channel, and he's got big feelings and all that stuff, right? So what I struggle with, the check that I have to do for me, is distinguishing between what is something that actually needs correcting and what is something that just embarrasses me and isn't, like, I'm embarrassed, like my shame is triggered, right?
That's the hard part.
Yeah, and at some point, like, to just be able to be like, he's just being precocious, or he's just being expressive, and instead of like, he's embarrassing the shit out of me and I'm gonna die right where I'm standing.
No, it's
I think that's really hard.
Well, and I look back to it, how I was raised, and if I wanted to do things and it wasn't something that I probably should have been doing at that age, like going to a party where there's no parents at 13 years old, not okay. And I look at that now as a parent and go, well, no shit, that's not okay. but I'm trying to figure out how I would have wanted to be raised where I didn't feel like I needed to rebel against it every time they said no.
Right. Like, is there some sort of middle ground?
There has to be. I just don't.
Where you can still have firm rules.
Right.
But she doesn't feel so
the harder you
reined in somehow.
The harder you try to hold her back and hold her down, and I just am keeping her safe, but I feel like the harder you push, the more she wants to push. So I haven't figured that out, and I don't know that I will.
That you 100% will, right? But is there, like, looking back, was was there ever something you wish your mom could have said or would have said? Was there a conversation that felt like it was missing? Because I think about it, my mom and I we didn't talk that much.
No. And
I don't know.
The cruise control thing, we're just kind of living life and don't even think about it most of the time.
Well, and I think what's interesting about all of this is that a lot of what we're talking about is work that our daughters are going to have to do for themselves. Mm-hmm. You and I are doing it for ourselves, you know? And again, because your parent actually isn't completely responsible for all of your development.
Oh, hell no. No way. Like I said,
fancy that, right?
You meet all these people, and that's where you learn a lot of things too.
And I just think that the biggest shift for me, like as becoming a parent, is just how overwhelming the whole arc of their development really is. Like, and I'm sorry, but today we're blowing our money on clothes. Hopefully we find some good stuff. But like, there's the financial part of it, and there's making sure they're not eating complete shit for food, which is that's not even easy.
No.
You know? So it's like, and then there's the emotional and the spiritual component, like all of those components. There's
a lot of stuff that we have to do.
Right. That's why it's so overwhelming.
I know.
And so I definitely am aware of this. And like you said, I think a lot about what did I need? What did I need?
I can't pinpoint it either.
I can't either.
I can't think of one situation because Mom and I argued a lot.
Yeah.
I was a shit.
Well.
But I can't think of... I don't know
that you were an absolute shit. You guys just...
I wasn't very nice. But I think back
I had moments.
There isn't one specific thing where I think she should have handled this different. Not at all.
Yeah, I don't feel that way either.
I honestly don't know.
My poor mother, like the years where I would like scream at her, like my really bad years was like the sixth through about 8th grade. It's like 6th, 7th, and 8th grade where I was really intolerable. Mm-hmm. Like she actually thought that this might be who I was going to be. Mm-hmm. She was worried about that. She told me that, like years later when I was writing the book, actually. She's like, I remember looking at you and just thinking like, oh my God, like this is who she is.
And now I look at that in Ellie and think, what is she going to do? This is going to be so cool.
Yeah. And my mom thought I was like permanently going to be that person, which I'm really glad that she came out of that. But in that set of years, she didn't get a break because my dad...
No, she didn't.
He wasn't really there. So I would flood her. That's the phrase that I use when my kids flood me. And I'm just like, she would like go to her, she'd retreat to her room and shut the door. And I'd be out there like screaming at her.
Right.
Can you even imagine? I don't fault her for a second for how she does. I mean,
no.
It's just,
I know.
Looking back on it, I just think about how the thing for me that I'm really trying to do with my kids that didn't happen in my household, and again, nobody's fault, it's just what it was, is the emotional literacy thing. Mm-hmm. To like try to help my kids put language around how they actually feel.
I know.
Because in that set of years, everything I felt came out as fury, like rage, Sarah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And most of it was weird shame and discomfort with my body.
Oh,
with
I know.
Everything,
There's a lot of that with girls.
Yes.
That's going to be hard moving forward.
It is, but
I have to get comfortable with me before I can teach her how to be comfortable with her.
Well, but I think, Sarah, you can be, and this is what I really hope to, like, for the takeaway for all the women that are going to watch this, is that I think we need to give ourselves grace. Mm-hmm. So, like, to look at our kids and say, I, even as a grown-up, don't have this figured out, but if you can think about these things in this way now, it's just going to help give you a head start, kind of, on the rest of your life, because, their learning is just starting when they leave us. And
I know.
My kids aren't close to leaving me. Tyler's getting close.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. I didn't say no.
No, he's not.
No, he's not. You're right, he's not.
No,
he's 15. I get it. It won't be long. But that's just the whole thing. It's just not to put so much pressure on this side of it, and yet recognizing that the way we talk about it, because my acting out was always inappropriate, but the feelings that I had that drove me to do that were not. My feelings were not inappropriate.
And that's what we need to teach our kids, is what the feelings are that drive that.
Right.
Because I
say,
still to this day just act on feeling a lot of times, and then later on I go, whoa,
right.
I wasn't really mad at the kids. I was mad about work or whatever it may be.
And then that's the whole thing, though. So then I go to my kids and I'll say,
sorry.
Whoa, sorry guys, that was uncool.
Yeah.
And that's the whole thing. I just think, teaching them and learning how to sit with feelings.
That's hard too.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
That's why, legit, I do not have a drinking problem. I don't. But if I've had a really tough day and then the kids are assholes, if everything's just going badly, I'll be like, oh, I just want a glass of wine.
It's just a little bit of a mild sedative to take the edge off.
Right.
That's all.
But the truth is, it's because I'm not that great at just leaning into the discomfort of difficult feelings. So that's stuff I'm working on too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's...
So the big picture with all of this is there are so many things that go into how we view the world. Mm-hmm. It is partly our upbringing, nature versus nurture. We talked about that. But it's on us to decide what we want it to be,
I know.
I want to live my life with more of a freedom where I don't feel like I'm constantly second guessing myself.
I know.
That's what I want. Mm-hmm. And I'm not there yet.
No.
I'm 38 years young today, and I'm not there yet. But I think this is something that I'm going to be focused on for the rest of my life.
Well,
and
awareness
of it, right? Mm-hmm. And hopefully supporting the people I love, mm-hmm. my good friends, the people that look to me for that, and then my kids. Mm-hmm. I do this for Jeremiah too. We have these conversations,
Yeah. Yeah, see there, that's the cruise control thing where I don't have those conversations very often.
Right. Until you get in a car with me and I put a video camera up and I'm let's talk about this, cousin.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't know. I just think it's all so interesting.
It is.
And so bottom line is, I'm really happy that the biggest thing I'm happy about with you is that we resynced back up. Mm-hmm. Because you're a relationship that I wouldn't want to move through my life without.
Ditto.
So thanks for being my guest. I loved having you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Comes with the territory.
That's right. This is what families do.
That's right.
Okay.